and welcome to episode 9 of the Inside Drive podcast. Got one of my favorites back on today, Jaye Chapman, back in studio with us. Colby Pitts, broken promises, my friend. Come on now. Get it together. You have an opportunity to help out your business. Just come by on Tuesdays. It's an hour. Jay's been on the show more times than you have now. Before we dive into today's episode, as we always do, got to mention my two sponsors, my two big sponsors, Golf Plus and Panhandle Credit Union. As you can see, we've got some Panhandle Credit Union hats behind me. One's a camo hat there, looking pretty fancy.
You have to look extra hard to see it.
Yes, it kind of blends in, with that red, which Panhandle Credit Union is red. But the quality relationships they have with our community is what Panhandle Credit Union is all about. Whether it is sponsoring an event, donating to a cause, providing loan options, or setting people up with great banking products, Panhandle Credit Union is here to serve those who live, work, worship, and attend school in Bay and other surrounding counties. Together, Panhandle Credit Union builds community. Visit panhandlecu.org or swing by any location to join. And then, of course, Golf Plus. They still got the Mention the Inside Drive podcast. Buy 10 grips, get the 11th free. Great fitting facility, all the clubs you could possibly want. Fitting is so important in the game of golf. Your swing can be good, but if your clubs aren't fit to your swing, that's going to create some problems, and you're going to think it's your swing, but it's probably not your swing. It's just the clubs aren't fit for you. They've got the simulator, they've got the fitting equipment, all the shafts, all the companies, everything you could possibly want. There's a reason why Golf Plus has been featured in Golf and Golf Digest magazines as one of the top club fitters in the country. Obviously, the repair shop as well, second to none. They've got tour van quality repairs every time and fast too. Golf Plus is located in the shops at Edgewater next to Firefly. Give them a call at 850-249-2726 or visit them online at golfplusretail.com. Before we dive into everything as well, I got to give a big shout out to my best friend, my wife, my advocate, my caregiver sometimes. Big happy birthday to Beth. I hope it's a great day. I know, we got some football practice tonight, so we'll kick a dinner later on in a few days. So big shout out to Beth. Happy birthday. Do want to mention too the Beach Marlins Pee-wees football team got their first victory last weekend on the road against Chipley, and then also Liam's junior team got the victory as well. We got a big game coming up this weekend against Crestview at home right there at Mike Gavlak Stadium. Jay?
Good to be back.
It hasn't been too long. Appreciate you coming back.
Seems like a weekly occurrence at the moment.
Yeah. Which I
enjoy.
I appreciate very, very much. And I like the golf socks you got on today too. Kind of fitting for today's episode, that's for sure.
Fantastic.
I mean, tell everybody again, what you do and how you can help them out.
I appreciate it. My name is Jaye Chapman, again, with Chapman Wealth Management in association with Raymond James. And we, again, basically help people deal with all matters financial, investments, budgeting, debt service, prioritization of spending, anything that you could really think of. But typically, getting to and through retirement is what we specialize in. But if you have a need, come see us.
There you go. Chapman Wealth Management.
Chapman Wealth Management, that's right.
I'll ask you a financial question while we got
Perfect.
you here. Is there a correlation between like the financial market and the real estate market? Because I know right now the rates are starting to go down a little bit. The Fed's supposed to, I think, drop the rates this week. But locally here in Bay County, it's really sparked up the last week or so. A lot of people buying and selling. Is there a correlation between the real estate market and the financial market? I was just curious.
No, it is a good question. So, and there's different, again, which I don't want to get too nuanced, but it's all, it's from a sectoral perspective, that is an area of an asset class that we, typically keep our finger on the pulse of. But there's commercial real estate and there's residential real estate. The one thing that I will say here, at least from the realtors that I speak to, is that we are in just like a little bit of a geographical bubble.
Yeah.
And so as far as the demand supply relationships, because like you said, home prices here and the activity has been, from what I can gather, pretty steady. It has not seen a dramatic decrease, but nationally, I think it has, and there's a lot of stagnation in that market. But to your point, really, yes. I mean, and as a matter of fact, when you look at the goods and services side of the economy, housing and real estate is a major sort of player in our GDP or just our total production as a nation. And, there's the Fed is in sort of a sticky situation here because they don't want to lower rates and reignite inflation, but they have to get the housing segment of our economy going, and
Yeah.
and so that's sort of an effort, I think. So what I think they're hoping for is that maybe with reduction in interest rates, that you will see a frenzy of real estate activity that could support any sort of labor market softness that we're seeing at the moment.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry,
absolutely.
that
And
was-
with the no, it's good. That was good. That was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we've got, by the time we think we hit 2030, there's supposed to be an influx of about 30,000 new residents here to Bay County.
Yeah.
So, that's going to continue. And I like that, we kind of have a little bubble here around our area simply because there's so much industry coming, so many new people coming in. And then, of course, the investment side of things. It was kind of an untapped market for a long, long time. And it's still, like, if you look at other places in South Florida and even just to our west over there in 38, our pricing, your return on your investment is still good, should you be able to either pay cash or get a nice low interest rate. So I like that, our real estate bubble here.
Yeah, we're in a little geographical bubble from
Yeah.
what I can gather, because nationally the numbers are not great.
No.
Yeah, home building starts have been, at rock bottom. In all honesty, you think about there's a sort of bifurcated aspects to it, but like they've been saying, nationally, real estate markets have been in recession for quite a while. So anyway, okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're looking for somebody to, buy and sell a house, investment property, commercial real estate, whatever it may be, reach out to Beth at Beach House Sales and Development. She'll get it done. She's real busy right now, which is
Busy's good.
Busy is good. And
Okay.
again, happy birthday to her. All right, as we always do on Tuesdays, we're going to talk about the high school football scores from last Friday. Had some exciting games in the area. We really only had one game kind of locally, so to speak. The rest of them were on the road. One of those road games was Arnold at South Walton. South Walton won that one 24-6. South Walton moves to 3-0. Arnold to 1-2. Justice for Griffin. I'll throw that in there real quick. Bay High continues their winning streak. They're now 4-0 after the 28-14 victory over Escambia. Escambia falls to 0-3. Mariana improves to 1-2 after Bozeman traveled up there on the road, 21-7 in that game. Pensacola kind of got off the winless streak with a pretty dominant performance over Destin, 49-9. And then one kind of the craziest scores in the local football area, Cottondale traveled to Freeport. That was a 71-60 ball game. That sounds like a basketball score right there. 71-60. Freeport improves to 4-0. Cottondale drops to 1-2. Not very often you score 60 points in high school football and you lose a game. So I'm sure they were, a little bit disappointed with that. But I mean, obviously, defense matters too. North Bay Haven had some exciting stuff happen. They won 60-12 over Graceville.
Wow.
They broke a 13-game losing streak, and that was the most North Bay Haven has ever scored in a football game in their program history. Holmes County defeated Rutherford in another close match for Rutherford, 21-19. Rutherford drops to 0-3. Holmes County 1-3. And then two more scores from our local area. Chipley hung 55-0 on Vernon. Vernon drops to 0-4. Chipley improves to 4-0. And then if you had a chance to watch David Hayes and Kyle Wright on the Mosley YouTube broadcast, another great job by those guys. Mosley went over to Navarre, beat them 36-16. Two straight wins after that loss to Bay at home. Navarre drops to 0-3. And that was your football action from last Friday night. I know we got some big ones coming up this Friday as well. We'll dive into those as we get to our Thursday show. We'll have County AD Josh Latch and Jay Henley with us on Thursday. Maybe ask some tough questions for Coach Latch, and see what's. Obviously, he's done a lot of great work here with the athletics. He's really putting a lot of effort into middle school sports. He's got the community and the students at the top of his mind. So looking forward to chatting with him on Thursday. College football this weekend. Alabama took care of business against Wisconsin.
They did.
Do you have any concerns about how the run game just really didn't ever get going? Obviously, the offensive line played good in the pass pro. Obviously, 4 touchdown passes there for Simpson, but only 72 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I do. And, like I said, Riley is the kind of guy that's been featured since some of that, his carries in the Florida State game. But he originally he was like fourth on the depth chart,
Yeah.
right? So I actually just don't feel like they've really hit their stride in the running game, and so I'm really, like I said, when you watch the Georgia Tennessee game, it was sort of hard to
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
like
What's this week going to be looking like?
yeah. So, but like I said, I'm not. I mean, I'm hoping that Bama can look competitive in the game, but like I said, man, it's always hard to tell. Either those two teams are just both really good, or they both have lackluster defenses. And
Yeah.
I was flipping around and didn't get to watch as much of that game as I would have liked.
No shade to Georgia, but just like last year, Tennessee probably should have won that
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
Just like they
yeah.
should have won the game last year. I mean, shoulda, coulda, would is always easy to say in sports, but if you're going to compete at a high level in college football, you've got to be able to finish games.
Well,
And
and
not
what's
give them
interesting
away.
is really quickly, kind of
Yeah.
talking to the psychological side, is I had told my wife, I'm like, man, when the game is tied, I believe he missed a field goal.
Yep.
I told her, I said, psychologically, when the game is tied, it's just less pressure. So typically they make those.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you're down 1 or 2, and if you miss, you lose. And he just immediately shanks it right after. I was like, okay. I guess
Yeah, like my theory is not correct.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
no
funny.
idea what I'm talking about here.
Well, I mean, it makes sense too. I mean, what you're saying
Yeah.
makes sense, but
Like,
yeah, no.
if you miss it, you don't lose. Whatever.
Yep.
But
Typically, you see those just drilled right through. Just kind of going through the top 25 from last Friday. You had Florida State that was. Wow, we're already on week 4 of college football. It'll be over here quickly. Indiana, who was number 22 last week, beat Indiana State 73-0. I stayed away from that. It just seemed like a lot of points, but Indiana was able to put it up. Auburn got by South Alabama 31-15. Ohio State cruised over over Ohio 37-9. Penn State 52-6 over Villanova. LSU Florida was the marquee matchup from this past weekend. LSU beats Florida 20-10. Any takeaways from that game? I mean, obviously Lagway threw 5 interceptions, and I don't care how good a defense is. That's just not good.
it seemed like it was one of those deals where it just started to spiral.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like to me. Because
mistakes,
he's
yeah.
uber talented.
Yeah.
But a lot of those times I feel like it's they used to always say hitting is contagious or errors are contagious. I feel like once he kind of got on that train, it's tough to get out.
Yeah, you're starting to not see the field
Yes.
as well and all that
And then
stuff.
you press even harder
Yep.
and
Forces you to make more mistakes. I don't think we really know how good LSU really is yet.
I was thinking the same thing.
Obviously, Florida was a good football team, but LSU's beat Notre Dame beat Clemson and Louisiana Tech, and obviously we know what happened at Clemson this past weekend. They felt the wrath of the Georgia Tech rambling wreck.
Dude, Georgia Tech's rolled over some people the last couple of years that they weren't supposed to.
No, yeah, and a walk-off field goal nonetheless. Did you see the students trying to get the field goal post out of that stadium? What are they going to walk it down to 85 or whatever that highway is right there next to the stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, exciting victory for them. I mean, last couple of years for both teams like Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
the engineering schools have been wreaking havoc on some of these top 25 schools. Speaking of Vanderbilt, they beat South Carolina, the number 11 team in the country, 31-7. Lenora Sellers went out, I believe, late second quarter in that one. Probably should have been a targeting call. Needless to say, he's out. I don't know if he's going to be available for the next game or not. But South Carolina's backup was
Not good.
not great, and Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia were able to take advantage of that. Let's see if I'm sure Vandy popped into the top 25 after that victory. Oklahoma over Temple, 42-3. Iowa State over Arkansas State, 24-16. Arkansas gave Ole Miss everything they could want, 41-35 in that one. We briefly talked about the Alabama-Wisconsin game, 38-14. Utah over Wyoming, 31-6. Texas Tech over Oregon State, 45-14. Michigan, I think Central Michigan is the Chippewas. They took the Chippewas to the woodshed, 63-3, and then Missouri, 52-10 over Louisiana. Anything? Let's get USF. Obviously, USF beats 2 ranked teams and then runs into a little bit of a buzzsaw, I guess, with Miami. I don't know if I mentioned that score. It was 49-12. So then I guess your questions are, is Miami that good, or was the victory over Boise State 34-7 really not that big of a win? Boise State, that was week 1, and their 18-16 victory over Florida. now we see what Florida has done and all that. I mean, it was South Florida really that good, or was Boise State and Florida not as good as I think we all thought?
Probably a combination, but also I also think that there's a psychological element to it as well, where like you win a game you're not supposed to win, then you got another one. You win another game you're not supposed to win, then you got another. Eventually,
how often, it's gonna
like
catch up
how
to you.
yeah, how do you stay up? The intensity or like the, eventually that pressure gets to you.
Yeah. Well, and then, now the people more feel like, oh, well, they won those 2 games. They should maybe win this game. But, I mean, Miami got out to a early lead in that one, and South Florida could just never come back. But nonetheless, they won those 2 games over top 25 opponents. I think that was the first time in program history with 2 wins over top 25 opponents. Don't quote me on that. That kind of feels like what it was. All right, let's talk about some NFL action. Obviously, last Thursday night, you had the Packers and the Commanders. Packers just looked good in that one and kind of shut down Jaden Daniels. Packers might be the real deal this year.
They really might. They look really good.
Defense is good. Offense is good. They've got good weapons. They still don't have their full host of receivers yet. 49ers Saints, Mac Jones, former national champion for your Crimson Tide, led the San Francisco 49ers without Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, without Brock Purdy, without George Kittle, without Demarcus Robinson, he's still suspended. So, Mac Jones, obviously, that's probably who we should have drafted when we traded up to draft for Trey Lance. When we traded up in the draft to draft for Trey Lance, arguably one of the worst draft picks. There's some other ones, too, that were pretty bad. Jamarcus Russell comes to mind. But anyway, shows you that Mac Jones can also, if he's put in the right situation, he's very certain. And I'm actually glad we've had him for a 2-year contract. So, if Purdy can't get healthy or if, he gets hurt again, God forbid, at least we got somebody who can lead us to victories.
I was highly disappointed in his time in New England. And, but you hear there was, at least I've thought there's been some reports of like things were not good internally there when he was there, which makes a little sense because he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, man. So I'm happy to see that he had some success. And I think he can. When he gets opportunities, have some success.
No doubt. He's probably, the best backup in the league right now. But kind of had some returns of the guys that got benched. Daniel Jones, obviously, what he's doing down there up there in Indianapolis. They beat the good Broncos defense 29-28. There's some kind of record, too, no one's ever had 2 games where the offense hasn't had to punt until the first 2 games for the Colts.
Wow.
And who would have known that Daniel Jones was going to be the guy doing that? Obviously,
Crazy.
I think everybody thought Anthony Richardson was going to be the starter this year. But obviously, whatever they saw in Daniel Jones in training camp and the practices leading up to the start of the season, obviously they were correct because he's certainly doing a great job there for the Colts. Some other games worth noting: the Bengals-Jaguars game. The only reason I bring that one up. Joe Burrow is injured again, and this time it's turf toe, but with ligament tears in turf toe, so he's got to have some surgery. He's going to be out for at least 3 months in that one. So sorry, Bengals fans. I feel your pain with the injuries, but man, Joe Burrow has just had a tough go. That's a great what could have been.
He is. It's turning into that.
Yeah.
Because on that quarterback series, he was talking about. I mean, I believe is his 5th year in the league. Or so?
2021 was his rookie year.
So right, and so you're like, man, he's been around a little bit longer. You still kind of feel like he's never really gotten.
Yep. They had that one Super Bowl appearance against the Rams, and then it just really 2023, I think, is when he tore up his knee. Every ligament in his knee got torn up.
Ugh.
So he's just, you kind of feel for guys like that, have all the talent in the world, and they just can't stay healthy. But
he is so talented.
He is. His vision, his arm strength, his accuracy, just everything you want out of a quarterback. Bills took care of business against the Jets. No surprise there, 30-10. What's going on with the Dolphins?
I don't really know.
Tua
struggled.
Is it? I haven't really watched the Dolphins in depth. But Drake May looked like they kind of tore the Dolphins apart, and the Dolphins, it wasn't that big of a delta. It was 33-27, but just Tua's turning the ball over a whole bunch, and is there a scenario where they make a move on quarterbacks there with Tua?
It's weird because I feel like he's never really made the definitive statement that I'm the guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of always been up for, either a trade or whatever, or draft a guy.
Yeah.
And you're kind of waiting for him to come out and put together the type of season that says, hey, I'm the guy. And it just hadn't happened. And that's unfortunate because I like him just from following him in Alabama. But
Yeah.
waiting for him to have a definitive statement season, and doesn't look like it's going to be this year.
Yeah, and
At least to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Giants Cowboys game. If you were like me, I was rooting for those Giants to win that game, but Brandon Aubrey had something to say about that one. Just absolute stud kicker. I think it was 64 yards
The kicking game in the NFL. I know that there's been some.
It's insane.
I don't know if it's a joke or not, but they're talking about the balls or something that I'm like. It's almost like the fastball in baseball.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Like, guys are kicking 70-yarders in games. Like, what's the deal here?
Yes, obviously, if you watch that game, you know what went down. But Brandon Aubrey kicked a 64-yard field goal as time expired to tie the game up, and then at the end of overtime, made a 46-yarder to win the game there for the Dallas Cowboys.
It's gotten to the point in the kicking game where 46 yards, you're thinking, yeah, it's a chip shot kind of deal. Yeah, they definitely. Yeah.
It's certainly changed for sure, and I like that analogy with the fastball and the velocity on the fastball now. And now these guys are kicking monster field. I think one guy hit a 70-yarder in preseason.
That's not a joke. That's a real number.
70 yards.
That's like 2 first downs, and you're in field goal range.
Yep.
I mean, joking, but I mean seriously, who even tries a 64-yard? I mean, whatever.
I don't know.
What was Janikowski? I mean, I feel like old time lefty.
Yep.
Janikowski had hit
Florida State guy. He hit some bomb. I think he was the record holder for a long
61 maybe
time.
Something.
Yeah. And now they're making 64, 65s. No big deal. But I mean, obviously it was in a dome as well. I'm not taking away from what he did, but kicking indoors is a little bit easier than kicking outdoors for sure. And I think there's probably more domes now than there ever was. I'm sure there's some kind of correlation with that. Bears are struggling as well in Ben Johnson's game against his former head coach, former team. It's almost like the Lions took it to him in that one. They hung 52 on the Bears. You don't see over 50 very often in the NFL. 52-21 in that game. Seahawks 31, Steelers 17. I mentioned the Colts already. Cardinals 27, Panthers 22. Eagles beat the Chiefs 20-17 on Sunday Night Football. Or excuse me, that was the late window game, 20-17. Chiefs tried to make it interesting there at the end, but the tush push still undefeated when it comes to extending games. All they needed was a first down, and then they can run out the clock. 1 yard, what do they do? Bring in the tush push. You kind of knew it was going to be game over. Sunday Night Football. I'm sure Keith is happy. The Falcons got a 22-6 victory in that one. And then we had 2 Monday Night Football games last night. The first one a little more exciting than the second one. Baker Mayfield kind of did Baker stuff. He's a theatrical heroics kind of quarterback, and I believe they scored a touchdown as time expired to win that game, 20-19 over the Texans. Bucs pretty much led that entire game. Texans scored to take the lead kind of midway through the fourth quarter. And then, of course, you had the Chargers and the Raiders. Are the Chargers the new team to win the AFC West? Are the Chiefs still the team to beat?
I think I just have recency bias.
Yeah.
And so I can't, but like I said, it'll be interesting. I think that they're definitely poised to take over. It's just, like I said, can the Chiefs recreate?
Yeah, and can Justin Herbert stay healthy?
Man, he's so good.
He is. It was fun to watch. It's kind of what you want out of a quarterback. Big guy, big arm, mobile. These new quarterbacks coming to the NFL are pretty darn crazy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get Keith Fleming on the line. And Everett, I did double check. I am connected to the Bluetooth.
And while we do that, I got a Mark McLean, good buddy of mine. His birthday as well.
Oh, so happy birthday, Mark. I love Mark.
I think he's a big 4-0, I believe.
Ooh, big 4-0.
Yeah, so he's
welcome to the club, my friend.
That's it.
All right, let's see if we can get Keith on the line. Probably should have had his phone number ready to rock. All right, here we go.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Keith. How are you? Welcome to the show.
What's going on, man?
Just talking a little football. Now we're going to talk a little football, a little more in depth. First off, I got to ask you, your Atlanta Falcons, they looked, dare I say it, pretty good on Sunday Night Football. How'd you feel about your Falcons' performance?
I mean, I feel great. You win that way. Still frustrated that we gave away week 1. That was a game they should have won versus, the team that's probably the favorite to win the division. But, I mean, dare I say it, we might actually have a defense, which, to be honest, is just insane. I think that they were talking about that. That was the highest pressure rate uh, they had had since 2018. And when I tell people that we just never get after the quarterback, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think John Abraham was the last guy that we had on our front four with, like I think it was more than 12 sacks. And that's like going all the way back to 2012. So I have hope. Still a little concerned about just the way the offense looks. I can't stand the pistol, and we're the Falcons, so I'm kind of always, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But you have to be happy with that kind of performance. And I like the game plan. They took it to a team that was on a short week, and they came out, took the ball first. Which, I mean, how many NFL teams do that anymore? So, uh, you know, cautiously optimistic, I guess would be the word, Ryan.
Yeah, that's a common place for football fans to live. Cautiously optimistic. Like we don't want to be too excited because we don't want to be let down too much, but at the same time, we want to be hopeful and excited for each game each week. All right. Speaking of each game each week, what did week 2 in the NFL show you stats wise? Some stuff that we may not have been paying attention to.
All right, let's talk about quarterbacks. That's kind of the theme today. Um, Kansas City is no longer a fantasy relevant football team, and it's really
Which I'm very
wild to
happy
look.
about.
Man, I think everybody is. We're tired of the Chiefs having it all, but from 2018 through 2022, the Chiefs with Kelsey and Hill and Mahomes, best offense in the league, right? Averaging 29 to 35 points per game. Well, the last two seasons, since the Tyreek trade, it was rough. They only averaged 21 points per game. And now, if you look at it through two games, this season, they're actually just averaging 19. More evidence of the struggle is Mahomes has stated numerous times before that he likes to save rushing for the playoffs. Well, through two games, he has 118 yards on the ground
He's their
and
leading
two
rusher, right?
touchdowns. Yes, that's 38% of his total rushing yards from last season in just two games, and 30% of his career high for a season in rushing. And I think it just speaks to where the offense is at.
Yeah.
And now the team is 0-2 for the first time in the Mahomes era. The second time with Andy Reid as their coach. So that's the first time since 2014, and there's real questions. They're actually plus odds to win the division, I believe, at plus 230. And yes, things may get better with the return of Rasheed Rice in a few weeks. Worthy gets healthy, but this is not the same, Chiefs offense that we saw early in Mahomes' career. And he struggles now on down the field throws, which is also just the hardest part for somebody like me who's, so data driven to understand like what has happened. Because yes, you could say Tyreek Hill's gone. I get that, but he's just not very accurate on those throws. And we saw that again in the matchup. I don't know if you saw Thornton was wide open for a
Yes, yes,
touchdown,
yes. Kind of on the
and he
left side of
just
the
he
field.
just
Yep.
whiffed him. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
Yes, interesting is a great word for it. Maybe the offensive line isn't quite as good. I mean, maybe he feels like he has to do too much than he really ever had to do. But usually he was pretty good at putting the team on his back. But maybe now, like you said, with missing some of those guys, it's changed things a little bit. Maybe it's strictly because Kelsey got engaged to Taylor Swift. That's my take.
Eh,
It's
I mean, if
100%
you
that.
want to blame Tay Tay,
Yeah,
you can.
I am. I am.
The there was a lot of discussion going into the season about who the best quarterback in football is. And I think for the first time ever, it's fair to say like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson is that guy. But I think that Lamar is the best quarterback and player in football. Now, he's got to prove it on obviously, the playoffs when games matter the most. But he had 13 passes against the Browns this week, which is pretty good defense that traveled 10 plus air yards. He was 8 of 13 on those plays for 153 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, a 142 passer rating. Through 2 weeks, he's now 7 touchdowns to 0 turnovers, 9 yards per attempt, a ridiculous 0.35 EPA per drop back, completing almost 70% of his passes. And then my favorite stat, since 2019, he is not only top 10 in passer rating in the NFL, but also rushing yards. He is just a cheat code. And I
He
think
is a
people
fantasy cheat code
underestimate,
indeed.
well, just also football, because I think that the Zay Flowers injury last year was way more pivotal than people understand, because when Flowers is on the field, you can either make the decision that you're going to stack the box, right, and put as many defenders as you can, stopping Lamar and Henry, or Zay Flowers is going to get in one-on-one coverage. And we're being reminded that it's kind of pick your poison again this year with him back and just absolutely feasting.
Yeah, I mean, and with, the Chargers, the Ravens, obviously the Bills are great again this year too. I mean, I think we're maybe seeing this, turn of the cogs with, the Chiefs kind of going to the bottom there, and you're seeing an opportunity now for these other teams to rise up and have a legitimate shot now to make it to the Super Bowl instead of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know we're only 2 weeks in, and it could all change drastically as well, but a little more parity might be a little good there. And I think Justin Herbert is climbing up that, getting close to the top three in the league as far as quarterbacks are concerned.
Absolutely. There's another young quarterback who is slowly becoming, I think, one of the guys. He was somebody that I, talked about this summer that you should be targeting in fantasy drafts, and that's Drake May. He's the only quarterback who's thrown it 68 plus times and maintains a 70% completion rate. He's only one of two quarterbacks to throw it that many times and only account for one turnover worthy play. The other is Josh Allen. I mean, that is really good company. And I think that we're going to see by the end of this year that not only is Drake May the real deal, but if you're the Chicago Bears with the issues with Caleb Williams and how good Jaden Daniels has looked obviously in year one, how good Drake May looks, Penix being pretty good for the Falcons, Bo Nix having the success in Denver, it's got to be tough for Chicago fans to feel like there's so many questions about the number one overall pick and Caleb Williams and
Yeah.
all these QBs that were taken after him having so much success.
Yeah, hey, Keith, I wanted to ask you a question just in relation to that. With the same thing with Bryce Young. I mean, I don't watch. I'm not a huge NFL consumer, but I mean, obviously being a Bama guy, I feel like that would be a tough for them to stomach. That's the number one pick as well, just with how he's performed. Is that fair or no?
Oh, I think 100%. I mean, the other thing with Bryce is, at least from that draft, CJ Stroud does not look, at least at the moment, like the quarterback he did his first
Mm-hmm.
season. But in Stroud's defense, that O line is really bad.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you trade away Larry Tunsil, who's one of the best tackles in football. And they already had issues last year with that. So and again, so much of this is, I think, where you go, who your coordinator is, who are the pieces around you. The issue for Caleb right now is they've done so much that you would think would allow a quarterback to have success. You have
Yeah.
a offensive minded, a coach, right? And Ben Johnson. They beefed up the offensive line. They've added all these weapons through either the draft or free agency. And yet there's still a lot of questions. And it's still early. Like, I don't think it's fair to jump on these guys. We've seen it with Sam Darnold and other guys in recent years that, getting in the right location is so huge. But I would be, understanding if you have real concerns.
Thoughts on Burrow facing another injury, just keeping him off the field even more time than he's already been off in his young career? I guess he's what, year 4, year 5, or year 5 at this point. So, poor guy just keeps getting hurt and getting off the field for those Bengals fans.
I mean, again,
O line,
offensive line
yep, it
matters,
matters.
man.
Yep.
And the Cincy's O line is awful. I saw a stat the other day that they've ranked 26th are lower every year he's been in the NFL and protection rate. And if you're an old enough Cincinnati Bengals fan, you got to be having a little bit of deja vu from poor Carson Palmer,
Yeah.
who was another guy who was so good early in his career. And the thing that's been most impressive to me about Burrow is he really hasn't changed his style of play.
No.
You know, he'll still stand in there to make the throws, but if you can't protect your quarterback with the kind of freaks that we see, you know, on the defensive line and at linebackers or edge rushers these days, it feels like it's only a matter of time before they're
Yeah.
gonna get hurt. And I hate it for him, man, because Burrow's a gamer. He's been excellent, you know, pretty much his entire career, but they just can't protect him.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's from like, is that, fall on the executive side who can't get in the pieces? I mean, it sounds like they're, potentially going to damage a really big investment that they've made by not making adjustments to help getting the protection he needs.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's definitely fair. I mean your front office, your GM needs to put the pieces together. Obviously, your head coach is involved in that as well. But the ownership with Cincinnati too is always kind of bit of a
Turbulent.
cluster. Yeah. So
And you
there's
spent so much money on two receivers too,
yeah
right?
True.
Like,
Yeah.
I
yeah
mean, when you're spending so much of your cap on Chase and Higgins, who are great, don't get me wrong, but when you have so much of your cap tied into those three guys, if you're not nailing picks in the draft, which Cincinnati doesn't have the best track record of, again, it's a matter of time before you start having issues.
yep absolutely those decisions. I mean, if receivers are good, but you don't have anybody to protect your quarterback, doesn't really matter how good those receivers are. And your big time O line guys, they demand the market's so high for those guys, so it does take a. You got to kind of pick your poison, I guess. So maybe Cincinnati has picked the wrong type of vial. But anyway, Keith, other quarterbacks you wanted to talk about?
Well, just two other ones real quick. I mean, first of all, how about your boy Mac Jones?
Mac,
Kyle
baby.
Shanahan finally got
That's who
the
I was
quarterback
telling
that he
earlier on the
wanted
show.
in
That's who
that
we should have
draft.
drafted. Yes, but maybe the Brock Purdy
Did you
thing would have
see
never.
his numbers on third down from
Yes,
this week?
yes, 3 touchdowns on third down.
7 of 12, 121 yards, 132 passer rating. And I think that he definitely can at least right the ship for the Niners, like, who have a very easy schedule
Yeah, easiest in the league.
moving forward in the interim. Yep. And I mean, you know, Shanahan knows how to protect a quarterback, and maybe we see a resurgence there. And then the final one is J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings have only scored one touchdown, or excuse me, a touchdown in one quarter this entire season so
Yep.
far. If you don't account for those three touchdowns, obviously in the fourth quarter of Chicago, it'd look even worse. And we knew there would be growing pains with him, you know, coming off a pretty horrific injury last year, making his first starts, but took 6 sacks through 2 picks. And the big thing to me, his off target rate from the game this week was
It
24%.
wasn't
The
pretty.
league average last year, 15. And so it does make me question if you're somebody that has, say, Jordan Addison on your fantasy roster and you're so excited because he'll be back after week 3. I do have to start questioning, can McCarthy, you know, make two wide receivers fantasy relevant? And as we've seen, he's already going to miss this week, and it looks like it's Carson Wentz time in Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. JJ is so far not coming to fruition like the Minnesota Vikings fans would have liked him. Obviously, they had that little shine of excitement in the fourth quarter of the first week game. But yeah, some of these, you're starting to see the separation a little bit here now. You know, the guys like Drake May, like you were talking about, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix. You're starting to really see who some of these quarterbacks actually are. So exciting to see that. All right, Keith, let's dive into some of the guys you're targeting for week 3 in the NFL, week 4 in college, week 3 in the NFL. Hard to believe we're already in week 3.
Amen. And again, sorry for last week with all the Justin Fields hype. I
Yeah,
still
way to
stand
go.
by what I said, and I think over time it's going to work out. But it's not good when you're everybody everywhere saying put Justin Fields in all your lineups, and I think he had negative points. It was a rough day. So the quarterback this week that really stands out to me is Drake May. He's facing a Steelers defense that in the first 2 weeks has given up 30 plus points to Justin Fields and the Jets, who last week looked awful on offense. And the Seattle Seahawks with Sam Darnold, who just the week before versus San Francisco, the offense could not move the ball. So I think that
Hey, San
May has
Fran's
a great
defense is pretty
chance.
good. Pretty good.
Not denying it isn't, but it is, I think, telling that Pittsburgh has been so
Yes,
bad
yes,
in
100%.
both games. So I think that that's a great opportunity for Drake May. He's at
Yes,
home.
yes,
He has not even really used his legs a ton yet this season. Obviously, he has the one rushing touchdown, but I gave all those stats about his outrageous completion percentage and
yes.
just he looks like he is way above schedule. The running backs. I really like Javonte Williams. I never thought I would be saying this at this point in the season, but he is 6,100, and he is just. I mean, it's unbelievable. He charted the 6 avoided tackles, the second most among running backs. He has one of the highest positive run percentages on his carries of anybody in the NFL. He had a 93% rate week one and was again over 90 percentage week two. The only thing that's going to limit his upside is it does look like Miles Sanders will get some of the red zone work, which that's a bummer. But overall, he's getting big time usage and
Yeah,
he's
he's the
averaging right
main
now
guy for
22 points
sure.
per game against the Chicago defense that has really gotten, kind of eaten up by the run both weeks. And the other guy is Kenneth Walker versus New Orleans, 5,800. A lot of people were concerned about his work rate, obviously from week one, and it wasn't great week two either in the terms of, he only saw 13 carries and saw one target in the passing game, but it's what he did with those. Over 100 yards, obviously had the touchdown, had a monster game scoring 21.8 points. And again, it's just a dream matchup because we know New Orleans can't really score uh, at all.
Yes.
So that probably means that they're going to be in a situation where they're able to run the ball a lot, and that's good for him. The wide receiver position, I do want to, mention Ted McMillan from Carolina. Just continues to be a monster in the passing game. It went over 100 yards. He is the only guy right now in the top five for yards after catch that is not a running
Yak.
back. So, I mean, that shows what he can do after he catches the ball. I think that he's a real value at 5,900. But it's the best values, I think, on the board this week are Roma Dunze at 5,300. I mean, it's kind of outrageous how quickly he's became the number one
Oh yeah,
option
huge week
in
last week. He was on the bench in
Chicago.
one of my leagues.
Well, I mean, he's really had two huge weeks. I mean, he
Yeah,
scored 15 points week one, saw 9 targets, caught 6 passes, had a touchdown. Week two, 11 targets, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. And we've seen this Dallas, secondary just get absolutely torched by Russell Wilson. So that's got to make you feel pretty good about that. And then as long as Juwan Jennings
JJ,
is
third and
healthy,
Jawan,
he's obviously questionable right now, but he's playing Arizona at home. And he was
first home
the
game of the
guy.
season.
He had the highest target share by far of any San Francisco 49er week one with Mac Jones. And we know that Mac Jones is somebody who's not afraid to throw the ball to the same guy over and over again. Look at the numbers BTJ put up last year in the games that he started. The tight end position, it's hard not to look at Brock Bowers at 6K, having seen what Tucker Kraft mac and cheese did versus this Washington defense on Thursday night and not
Packers
be
look
kind
good,
of
man.
licking your lips. They do, but I mean, how much they struggled with a physical tight end like Tucker Kraft. Uh, I just also his floor is so high. I mean, he had a quote unquote, and he did. He had a bad game last night. Only scored 8.8 points, but he still saw 8 targets, caught 5 passes, and now he's got a defense that just they can't stop. Opposing tight ends again is evident by Tucker Kraft. The other guy just to consider, Tyler Warren,
Mm-hmm.
huge part of the offense. He's only 4,400, and then Jake Ferguson at 4K, another guy that's having, just he is the number two target. As good as George Pickens was last week, it was actually Ferguson with the second highest target rate. And then right below him, another guy that I whipped on, Jawan Johnson, 3,900. I did not expect in a tough matchup versus San Francisco for him to see the volume that he did week one. And he did. He saw it again. He was excellent. And I think that it's definitely worth paying attention to. Just real quick, the defense. Look at New England this week, 2,600. Again, playing Pittsburgh. As great as Aaron Rodgers was week one, Seattle got pressure on Rodgers, and we saw the same guy that struggled last year when under pressure, and the New England Patriots have the most sacks in the NFL through 2 weeks. So 2,600 for a team averaging 10 points per game at home versus, again, an offense that really struggles in quarterback when you get pressure. I think that's a real opportunity for the New England defense.
Absolutely. Keith, we appreciate it as always. And if you want to, guys, you want to check out all the rest of his stuff, his cheat sheets, his articles, you can just head to fantasysixpack.net. And of course, you can follow Keith on Twitter/X, and he'll answer all your direct messages. All you got to do is search up Keith Fleming. That's KeithFleming. Keith, we appreciate you as always. Good luck in week 3 of the NFL. And then, of course, go Dogs for you.
Absolutely. Go Dogs. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. All right. You got all your lineups ready now?
Yep, they're ready to go.
There you go. There you go. I mean, it's not just the guys to pick, it's how you formulate your lineup when it comes to using the money correctly. It's, at least in DraftKings for that case. All right, I got kind of a fun question for you here, Jay.
Okay, I'm excited.
You know, obviously the Powerball the other week was a huge prize, I guess, for lack of a better term. If you had won the Powerball jackpot, what would be your I wouldn't tell anyone, but there'd be signs purchases?
Wouldn't tell anybody, but there'd be signs.
Like, you wouldn't tell anybody that you
probably
won.
see me on a really nice boat.
Okay, there you go. There you go. That's your sign. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
was thinking is, you know, buying a bunch of land up north and just having every toy you could possibly have, and just
like
having
a compound up there that you have. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You might see a couple pictures of me on a private plane or two.
Yeah, a plane, a helicopter, you know, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to
man.
learn how to fly it, but
Yeah.
Now, what would you recommend to somebody who won the Powerball financially? Take the lump sum
I would just,
because of the
basically.
taxes.
Yeah, well, and money today is better than money received in 10 years. I mean, if you want to annuitize it, I mean, I guess you can, and the reasonable minds can differ on that. But I would always say take the money now, invest it in profitable ventures. With that level of money, you're looking at private equity, you're looking at mergers, acquisitions, you're looking at a whole different side of
what you're investing in is just a little tiny bit different.
Yeah, you can go in and get in you can help underwrite some of these deals for these private companies to help take them public, and a couple just it's amazingly different universe that you'd be open to at those levels.
Absolutely.
But it's fun to dream about. You know, it is.
I mean, you can't win if you don't buy a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, you throw your hat in the ring and see what happens.
You never know. I do want to give a shout out for our American Charlie's Athlete of the Week from last week. That was Caleb Merzinski. He's the quarterback for North Bay Haven. As we mentioned, they broke a 13-game losing streak, and that was the most points they'd ever scored in a single game. He had 4 touchdown passes for the North Bay Haven Buccaneers.
Congratulations. Fantastic night.
Yes, Caleb Merzinski. Obviously, there's a lot of great guys to choose from, and we'll just kind of we've mixed it up a little bit. I'm just going to try to kind of pay attention to what's been going on and then pick somebody versus nominating somebody.
Right.
So, but yeah, congratulations to Caleb. And of course, thank you to American Charlie's for the $50 gift card for our Athlete of the Week competition. As you guys know, they have great daily specials, 15 TVs for all your college and NFL games. They do private events, private parties. They got live music all the time. And one of my favorite things about American Charlie's is their military and first responder discounts. They just debuted a new lunch menu not too long ago. Go check out American Charlie's in the Edgewater Shopping Plaza. Seems like all my sponsors are in the Edgewater Shopping Plaza. We got Firefly, too, as well. Of course, Golf Plus. And then Panhandle Credit Union with these awesome hats behind us. So we appreciate Chris Rogers and Panhandle Credit Union for sponsoring as well. And of course, Jay, let's leave them with what you offer to the Bay County people.
Yeah, again, like I said, just a lot of the different questions that you would have regarding your financial picture, whether it's retirement, investments, college savings, tax savings, anything that you can think of. You let us know. Chapman Wealth Management, and like I said, I just enjoy spending my time with you on these. I learn a lot about the NFL when I come on these.
Yeah, there you go. And see, I grew up in the Northeast, so there wasn't a whole lot of college football in the Northeast. But most of my friends were either Giants or Jets fans.
Ooh.
I was born in the Bay Area,
Yep.
so my dad raised me as a Niner fan. So I've been a Niner fan my whole life, and of course now my kids are Niners fans as well.
I have to
hope they
admit-
continue that going.
Yeah, oh yeah, passing it on down. The Dr. Pepper commercial where Jerry Jones came out and they're like, "We're in a pro town." I actually think that's a pretty funny
Yes.
element to that commercial because if you're from a college town, you
Yep.
kind of don't,
I
know,
mean,
but you
Alabama
get it.
doesn't even have a
That's exactly
professional
right.
football
Yeah, it's
team.
Auburn or Alabama, but it's just funny when he's like, "We're in a pro town." I'm like, that's really funny.
Yep, yep.
Totally different.
It is. It is.
market there,
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So I grew up a big NFL guy, and obviously I went to Coastal Carolina, which is not your biggest football school
Yeah.
in the South, but my freshman year was their first season of, at the time that was Division I AA football. And I still will always remember they beat James Madison, who just won a national championship, and they came to Conway as the #1 team in the country.
What?
And we walked it off with a deep touchdown pass, and we all ripped down the goalpost.
Oh, very
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
You've participated in
I've
one of those.
participated
Yeah.
in the school getting fined.
Back when it was an isolated event. Yeah,
Yes,
now it
yes.
seems to be a little bit more.
Yes. And depending on the stadiums, like we mentioned earlier, Georgia Tech, they couldn't even get the goalpost outside of the stadium. So.
Yeah, it was
And then what was the game last year where they brought? Oh, that was Vanderbilt, I think, beating Alabama.
Yeah.
Where they took the
Let's talk
goalpost
about
into
it,
the into the river. Hey, Vanderbilt's
no.
won some big
I'm
games.
a big Pavia fan.
Yeah. And
I'm a big Pavia fan.
That's okay. Get to the transfer portal real quick. There's so much negativity with all that stuff. Diego Pavia wouldn't have been a household name, quote unquote, had he not had the opportunity to transfer to Vanderbilt and get some, NIL deals.
Did you watch that SEC thing too?
Yes,
So I
yeah.
loved when he said, like, because this guy, you'll fall in love with this
Yep.
guy if you watch him.
Yep.
But he was like, New Mexico State beat Auburn.
Yep.
And Auburn had the chance. He saw him. They
Yep.
saw him firsthand. They had the chance to offer him
Yeah.
the transfer, and they didn't.
Yep.
And so when Vanderbilt did, he's like, he's just. I thought that was really cool though, because you realize they're playing for something
Yeah.
more. I mean, even like I know that's sort of obvious now, but it used not to be that way in
No.
hindsight. So now, like
100%.
a lower tiered whatever school, those guys are still playing to try and advance their. Yeah, I thought that was a really.
That's
neat,
where I think, what's current college football state can actually be a little bit of a positive.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Look at what he's done for himself now in his NIL market.
Absolutely. Game changer for him, that's
Yep.
for sure. Well, we appreciate you tuning in to our 9th episode of the Inside Drive podcast. Hopefully next Tuesday, I won't have to text you 3 hours before the show. So I do very much
Colby,
appreciate
whenever you're
you,
ready.
you coming
Of
on.
course, man, of course.
Always a pleasure. Always enjoy listening to your insight and chatting with you about sports.
Of course,
So.
yeah. Thank
We
you.
appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate everybody who tunes in after the fact. Obviously, the show will be posted in its entirety. It's live right now on YouTube and my personal Facebook page, but it'll be posted on YouTube tomorrow, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the other different great podcast programs. Again, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate our sponsors. Coming up this Thursday, we'll have County AD Josh Lash and, of course, Jay Henley in studio with us. Y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.